Right. So why are you for Hillary instead of Bernie?
Well, my daughter, Emma, has really crystallized it over the last 4 weeks. She's 18 years old, and all of her girlfriends were for Bernie.
Right.
All of them. I mean, and her too. You know, she's even from the New England Patriots, which I can't stand.
What?
Okay. No, I disinherited her.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
okay, that's
Only
It
Robert
happens.
Kraft adopted her.
Yeah.
That's a problem. He's
Yeah.
got more money than
He's doing well.
It's terrible.
I doubt that.
Don't
Poor
worry,
guy.
it's true. You know, whatever. And just she said to me the other, when Bernie said Hillary wasn't qualified, they took that a little sexist, you know.
I've picked up from several different people over the past couple of weeks that Bernie's continuous and sometimes unhinged assault on Hillary Clinton has, I think, got a lot of women to react in the opposite manner that Bernie saw it, that they are looking at him now saying, you know, well, and now they're going back to Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, on the women's issue.
So that was footage of disgraced movie mogul and convicted rapist Harvey Weinstein going on MSNBC in 2016 to smear Bernie Sanders as a sexist in the race against Hillary Clinton. Now, during Weinstein's fall from grace in 2017, his financial support of the DNC was widely discussed. Since the year 2000, he personally donated almost $1 million, and through bundling, he raised another almost $1.5 million. But aside from financial support, I would like to shed light on just how much propagandist support he provided over the years. I'm Jameson Crawford, and this is Stewards of Revolution.
And she has been saying lately that she thinks that I am, quote unquote, not qualified to be president. Well, let me just say in response to Secretary Clinton, I don't believe that she is qualified. If she is through her super PAC taking tens of millions of dollars in special interest funds. I don't think that you are qualified if you get $15 million from Wall Street through your super PAC. I don't think you are qualified if you have voted for the disastrous war in Iraq. I don't think you are qualified if you have supported virtually every disastrous trade agreement which has cost us millions of decent paying jobs.
So after an attack from Clinton, Sanders responded and only referenced specific policy differences on corruption, foreign policy, and trade. Yet Harvey Weinstein, of all people, claimed that this was a sexist attack.
When Bernie said Hillary wasn't qualified, they took that a little sexist, you know, just like, how could the Secretary of State, 103 countries that she visited, two-time senator,
right,
you know, first lady, civil rights lawyer, not be qualified? You can say he's not right for the job.
And you just gotta love the way Mike Barnacle is blissfully looking at his good buddy Harvey. I thought he was about to start tonguing Weinstein's ear like he was asking Gary Johnson about Aleppo.
What would you do if you were elected about Aleppo?
About?
Aleppo.
Aleppo.
None of the hosts of the MSNBC show pushed back against Weinstein's smears. In fact, they agreed with him. And this is despite the fact that just days earlier, Bernie was a guest on the same show and emphasized that these comments were policy-based and not personal.
It was a headline in the Washington Post just the other day. Quote, Clinton questions whether Sanders is qualified to be president. To say that, you know, how often have I talked about Hillary Clinton's emails? Have you heard me? Not a word. How often have I talked about the Clinton Foundation's fundraising? Have you heard me say one word about it during the campaign? To say that I am running a vitriolic campaign.
Why haven't you?
I mean, some of them are very good questions.
What?
Some of them are legitimate questions.
They are, but I have tried to stay away from personal attacks on Hillary. You know, so when I get attacked for being unqualified, and when I respond by saying, well, you know, Hillary Clinton voted for the war in Iraq. She voted for all these disastrous trade agreements. She's raising millions and millions of dollars from Wall Street and other special interests. Oh, my goodness, isn't that a vitriolic attack? I don't think so.
I've picked up from several different people over the past couple of weeks that Bernie's continuous and sometimes unhinged assault on Hillary Clinton has, I think, got a lot of women to react in the opposite manner that Bernie saw it, that they are looking at him now saying, you know, well, and now they're going back to Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. On the women's issue.
Well, you know, Hillary Clinton voted for the war in Iraq. She voted for all these disastrous trade agreements. She's raising millions and millions of dollars from Wall Street and other special interests.
Unhinged assault.
4 days before Weinstein went on MSNBC, he went on CBS to spread the same message.
Can we talk about politics? I know you've been Why not? Did you watch the Democratic debate last?
I did.
What'd you think?
Were you there?
Well, I got to tell you something funny. In my family, we get all types. My daughter, Emma, I think
Yes,
Gail,
I
you met
remember
her.
yeah.
You know, is 18 years old, and she is a Bernie Sanders fan, or at least she was 3 months ago. And she and all her girlfriends. And 2 weeks ago, he said that Hillary wasn't qualified to be president, and she and the girlfriends took umbrage to that.
Weinstein also wanted to make the point that Sanders is sexist because his wife Jane helps him with his taxes.
But Emma just bombs me all the time and goes, Dad, why doesn't he give his taxes? He says, white people don't give up their taxes. I said, Emma, if they don't give up their taxes, they usually have something to hide. She said, why does he say that his wife Jane has to do that? She said, that sounds to to 18-year-old girls in college. They don't like the idea that Jane has to do the taxes. Why can't the senator do his taxes?
He has a lot of enthusiasm, though, Harvey, here in New York. He had 27,000 people show up the other day.
I know, but there's a great song by The Who. It's called We Won't Get Fooled Again, you know.
5 days before going on CBS, Weinstein wrote to Clinton campaign manager Robbie Mook in a now-leaked email. Weinstein tells Mook that he wants to meet up in New York. He mentions that he could help with the campaign in Buffalo since he went to university there. He references a Daily News piece about Bernie Sanders.
The Daily News, I mean,
Right.
that was like, his positions are fantasists. That was the tipping point, I think, for a lot of New Yorkers.
And how the piece needs to be circulated to every online outlet. He expresses how he wants to set the narrative with headlines like "The Emperor Has No Clothes" and "We Won't Get Fooled Again."
But there's a great song by The Who. It's called We Won't Get Fooled Again, you know.
He expresses concern over one of Sanders' campaign ads.
This is everything that I have, my family. I got to see my dad die on national TV. They don't know what they took from us. People are dying. We need a president that's going to talk about it. I believe Bernie Sanders is a protester. He's not scared to go up against the criminal justice system. He's not scared. That's why I'm from Bernie.
I'm Bernie Sanders, and I approve this message.
He says that Sanders' strength in African American and Latino communities needs to be silenced, probably with the Sandy Hook issue.
I couldn't believe it when Senator Sanders said the parents of the Sandy Hook children did not deserve their day in court. Largely because he voted for the bill that gave special protections, immunity from liability to the gun makers and sellers. I was in the Senate at the same time. So was Barack Obama. I voted against it. Barack Obama voted against it. Bernie Sanders voted for it.
I think the victims of a crime with a gun should be able to sue the manufacturer. That's your question?
Correct.
No, I don't.
So, Senator, what changed?
Well, what changed is I think if you go into that interview a little bit longer, you'll see the nuance of that interview. Of course, they have the right to sue. Anybody has the right to sue, and they just won an initial decision in their favor last week. But if you go into that discussion a little bit longer, do I end up believing that if a gun store owner, a small gun store owner in rural Vermont or anyplace else, sells you a weapon, legally, you come in with all the proper identification, you pass the instant background check, you legally purchase the gun, and you go out and you shoot somebody, that small gun store owner should be held liable? No, I don't. I really don't.
Silencing the desires of the African American community by weaponizing the murder of 20 children. Classy move, Weinstein. He then told Mook about multiple public relations guys he recommended for the campaign. Mook replied enthusiastically about Weinstein's offer to meet up and discuss strategy. Now, Weinstein was far from the only one to smear Sanders as a sexist.
Bill Clinton today was asked about the comments and said, of course you wouldn't have made the same charges if she were a man.
Oh, my goodness.
And he said, I think there are some different standards for women. Some of them are subconscious.
I appreciate Bill Clinton being my psychoanalyst. It's always nice.
And Harvey was just as close with Bill as he was with Hillary. In fact, in 2012, Harvey Weinstein filled in for Piers Morgan to interview Bill Clinton on CNN. You know it's bad when Piers Morgan is the virtuous one of the bunch.
Good evening, I'm Harvey Weinstein, filling in for Piers Morgan. And I've got to tell you, when Piers asked me to do this, I thought he was kidding. He wasn't. So I went to one of the smartest people I know to ask for advice, Oprah Winfrey. We'll hear from her coming up. But here's what she told me. She said, if you're nervous, tell people you're nervous. Well, I am a little nervous, but I'm also very excited. I'm a friend and supporter of Bill Clinton, so it's an honor to introduce my very special guest, the 42nd President of the United States, William Jefferson Clinton.
Hi, Harvey.
I don't know what you got yourself into.
The things I do for you.
The things you do for me is correct.
Just two peas in a pod, if the P stands for predator.
You know, the one area that I am comfortable is talking about movies. And I know you're a great movie fan because over the years we've watched a bunch of movies together. A lot of movies together.
Now, I won't speculate what movies these two are watching together.
A lot of movies.
The day after that interview, Weinstein emailed Capricia Marshall, who was Obama's chief of protocol at the time, and had worked with the Clintons since Bill's 1992 presidential campaign. Dear Capricia, not sure if you were able to catch my interview with President Clinton last night on Piers Morgan Tonight. Do you think calling Secretary Clinton the greatest Secretary of State of all time shows just a touch of my bias?
She's truly, should go down in history, probably as our greatest Secretary of State.
She'll rank very high. She's done a good job, and she's really tried to build a world where there was more cooperation. And whenever you try to build a world of cooperation and you got a hard problem like Syria, you're always drawn in two different directions. But I think with a lot of hard problems, she's really been great. I'm very proud of her.
Me too.
President Clinton is incredible. I hope our current president, who is busy as can be, gets to see it. I did my best to flatten Romney in a cool kind of way.
You praise, President Obama for pulling the trigger on Osama bin Laden. Mitt Romney made a number of statements. He said he wouldn't cross into Pakistan to kill an enemy of America. He said he wouldn't spend billions of dollars, hunting just one person. Do you think Mitt Romney would have pulled the trigger if he was the president?
I don't know that.
And talked about how Donald Trump was uncool was the least I could do.
Speaking of uncool, Donald Trump has a benefit for Mitt Romney. And I know Donald Trump to be a sane, smart businessman. But he has this benefit. Romney comes and he talks about that birth certificate again. How do you put that out of the minds of the American public once and for all? And doesn't he realize how uncool he is?
I don't know. Donald Trump has been uncommonly nice to Hillary and me. We're all New Yorkers. And
me too.
And I like him, and I love playing golf with him. But the evidence is pretty clear that President Obama was born in Hawaii, and this whole election should not be about any of these side issues. It really ought to be about the decisions that each of them will make on where we are and where we need to go. And it's a serious time, so I'd like to see the election turn back to that.
Below is a link in case you missed it. All my best, Harvey. So Weinstein wanted to flatten Romney in a cool way and talk about Trump being uncool. Well, he also wanted to talk about Bill and how he was so cool.
You were the first president that I thought was really cool. And I guess for me, even I knew you were cool. But for the American people, I think it was that magical moment when you were on the Arsenio Hall show. All of a sudden, a presidential candidate puts on his shades and takes out a saxophone and plays really cool.
If you want to be an effective propagandist, Harvey, you should probably learn some synonyms.
Really cool, uncool, cool, uncool, really cool.
He also planted the idea of Hillary's 2016 presidential run.
I was wondering, in 2016, do you see a Clinton in the White House? Chelsea, Hillary?
Chelsea would be too young, I think. Maybe not quite. Hillary says she's going to retire. We'll just see. I think she intends to come home and start doing a lot of this charitable work. She's worked so hard for 20 years, But I'm very proud of her. I think she's really done a good job with a very tough hand to play as Secretary of State.
And he talked about the amazing work that the Clinton Global Initiative does for oppressed women, an issue that is just so near and dear to Weinstein's heart.
As somebody who's participated over the years, I have to tell you, I learned so much, especially about micro-managing, micro-budgets in India. And how these women who were oppressed built companies. It's an incredible experience, and I just hope that for the audience out there, they do participate and they do support, because it's amazing.
Then he wraps up the interview and expresses that next time he would like to just talk about movies, because he clearly has no interest in contributing to political narratives.
Mr. President, thank you for being my guest tonight. I can't thank you enough for doing this. It's incredible. And as I said, I always learn amazing things from you. Hopefully they'll let us do this again, and we're just going to talk about movies the next time. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thanks, Harvey.
Thank you, sir. Up next, my favorite people tell me about their favorite movies when we return.
CNN's coverage of Queen Elizabeth II's Diamond Jubilee is sponsored by Walmart. Save money. Live better.
We asked the Furlow family to bring in their favorite DVDs because we want to show them something new. You ready? Let's go. Walmart can now convert your favorite DVDs.
There's something uniquely dystopian about a Bill Clinton interview done by Harvey Weinstein, ending with an advertisement for Queen Elizabeth's Diamond Jubilee, all brought to you by Walmart.
Walmart can now convert your favorite DVDs.
A lot of movies.
And aside from the Clintons, Weinstein also considered himself close with the Obamas.
So, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, which of those three is your favorite?
I have no favorites. It's like the Beatles.
No.
John Paul, George Ringo.
Come on.
I like them all.
You seem to be closer to President Clinton than you are to President Obama.
That's not true. I think I'm pretty close to President Obama.
Michelle Obama had nothing but kind words to describe Weinstein.
I want to start by thanking Harvey Weinstein for organizing this amazing day. Harvey. This is possible because of Harvey. He is a wonderful human being, a good friend, and just a powerhouse.
And the Obama's daughter Malia did an internship with Weinstein in 2017.
The Obama's oldest daughter Malia is also set for a new role. The 18-year-old has accepted an internship with Hollywood heavyweight Harvey Weinstein.
Weinstein produced a National Geographic movie on the mission to kill Osama bin Laden that was scheduled to release just 2 days before the 2012 presidential election.
The HVT is Osama bin Laden.
SEAL Team 6, the raid on Osama bin Laden, has the familiar pace and appearance of a Hollywood thriller. But it's based on the real-life drama before, during, and after the U.S. Special Forces attack on the al-Qaeda leader's hideaway. That event was a key moment in President Obama's political narrative, mentioned often on the campaign trail. Some question the film's timing, its emphasis on his role in the raid.
Hollywood is a huge supporter of Barack Obama, and they're artistically disingenuous when they suggest that a film that's set to release prior to an election heralding the President of the United States handling of a terrorist attack is anything but political.
The New York Times says producer Harvey Weinstein ordered a last-minute edit to put in footage of the president, a man he makes no secret of enthusiastically backing. But the Hollywood veteran says he was making a movie to entertain, not influence voters.
It's not political, it's historical. I would not do anything political, when it comes to making one of my movies. I feel a sacred trust with the audience.
I watched your movie at the weekend and found it thoroughly entertaining and quite overtly political in the most magnificent propaganda-style way. I mean, you did this clearly to remind everybody as they're about to vote what a hero Barack Obama is, right?
I didn't have to do anything to remind anybody about the decision that Barack Obama made to pull the trigger on Osama bin Laden.
Director John Stockwell said it was Weinstein who suggested adding more actual news footage, including footage from the White House, after he saw an early version of the movie.
And quite overtly political in the most magnificent propaganda-style way. I mean, you did this clearly to remind everybody as they're about to vote what a hero Barack Obama is, right?
I feel a sacred trust with the audience.
He has a sacred trust with the audience, and I can't imagine Weinstein ever violating a sacred trust. As the election approached, he insisted that this movie was historical and not political. But throughout 2012, he was using this exact subject to make this very clear political attack.
You praise, President Obama for pulling the trigger on Osama bin Laden. Mitt Romney made a number of statements. He said he wouldn't cross into Pakistan to kill an enemy of America. He said he wouldn't spend billions of dollars, hunting just one person. Do you think Mitt Romney would have pulled the trigger if he was the president?
I don't know that.
Romney's saying that he wouldn't have, hunted Osama bin Laden and crossed the line into Pakistan. These things are going to come back to haunt, these guys big time. He and Mitt Romney were both against going into Pakistan to kill Osama bin Laden. Colin Powell, the best military genius of our time, supports President Obama. And the military love him. I made this movie that I know the military, they respect this man for what he's done. He's killed more terrorists in his short watch than George Bush did in 8 years. He's the true hawk.
Weinstein also released an attack ad on Mitt Romney, which ended with a familiar line.
I don't know how many hundred times I've said this too. This is an unusual interview. All right, let's do it again.
Well, Mitt, we have a message for you.
We don't get fooled again.
But there's a great song by The Who. It's called We Won't Get Fooled Again,
Weinstein clearly put a lot of thought, time, and effort into protecting the neoliberal establishment from the right and the left. He could have stayed in the domain of Hollywood where he reigned supreme. But we all now know of his dark predilections and desires. And if he wanted to keep indulging, he would have to remain untouchable. And what better way of staying above the law than to get in bed with the law? He was able to lend out his cultural power in return for some political power. MSNBC tried their hardest to quash Ronan Farrow's story on Harvey Weinstein, in a way that mirrors the way ABC tried to quash Amy Robach's story on Jeffrey Epstein. It is only thanks to Ronan Farrow's dogged persistence that he was able to defect from MSNBC and publish the Weinstein story through The New Yorker. The neoliberal establishment must have known about Weinstein's dark nature. Farrow had an interview with Hillary Clinton in the works for an unrelated book on foreign policy. But when she caught wind of the Weinstein story that he was working on, she cancelled that interview. Her publicist, Nick Merrill, told Farrow that his big story was a concern for us. Lena Dunham claims that she warned the Clinton campaign. And Anna Wilding claims that she warned the Obama White House.
Actress Lena Dunham claiming she warned the Clinton campaign about Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein's alleged sexual misconduct. Lena Dunham is the star of HBO's show The Girls. She told that to the New York Times that she heard troubling stories about Harvey Weinstein from other actors and actresses and warned Christina Shake, the Clinton campaign deputy communications director, in an email saying, quote, "I just want to let you know that Harvey's a rapist, and this is going to come out at some point. I think it's a really bad idea for him to host fundraisers and be involved because it's an open secret in Hollywood. He's got a problem with sexual assault."
You talked about how your skin crawled when you saw Harvey Weinstein walking with Michelle Obama. Were you ever able to warn them about the sort of company they were keeping?
Actually, that came up recently with one of her aides. I said to them just recently after the Michelle Obama, they contacted me. I said, I tried to warn Michelle, and they said, well, when and how did you do that? And I said, I spoke to her First Lady press office, both in the East Wing, and I spoke to President Barack Obama's office on the West Wing. And I don't know why those messages didn't get to them directly, but I was very surprised and disheartened that Harvey Weinstein was there. I thought it was hypocritical of the First Lady at the time. I guess she didn't know what everyone else knew. And I was very concerned when, of course, as it's Malia started interning at Miramax, at the Weinstein Company.
So you would actually...
I did everything I could at the time.
So you'd actually warned the staff of Barack Obama and Michelle Obama about Harvey Weinstein's behaviour before he visited the White House?
It was, I think I got the schedule about 2 days before that he was coming in, and I think I warned him within those 2 days, yes.
That is extraordinary.
I sent an email and I spoke to one of the staffers on that day, and I felt very uncomfortable about it.
Regardless of whether those specific warnings made it directly to Clinton and Obama, Hollywood is the epicenter of America's cultural influence that radiates out across the entire world. And we're supposed to believe that the President of the United States isn't briefed on the biggest open secret that is inherent to the mechanisms of how that town operates? Both the Clintons and the Obamas took 5 days to release a statement on Weinstein after the story broke. Elite power will always protect elite power. Some of the only power we have to use against them is the power of numbers. It's what took down Weinstein, and his days of raping women and propping up the neoliberal establishment are over for good. I suppose you could say that we won't be fooled again.
We don't get fooled again.
Hey guys, remember to like, share, subscribe, and if you think this content is valuable, then please consider donating using the links below. I'm really just getting started on this channel, and the support I receive now is going to help me evaluate how much time I can justify spending away from my day job and instead producing more content. So it means a lot and it will go a long way. Thanks again.